Started off by saying good evening, but I will also say good afternoon, good morning. And for those of you that may be joining us late at night because of time differences, welcome. Um, my name is Patrick Benner. I serve as the Director of Residence Life and Housing. I'm joined by my colleague here with me, Taylor.
Hi, my name is Taylor Walsh. I'm the Assistant Director for Residence Life and Housing here at the University of Richmond.
And we're here to, talk with you all tonight about some residence life and housing items to get you prepared for coming to campus. We'll share some information that we shared in our last session earlier this summer, but we'll highlight some new things and we'll talk about some of the arrival and move-in information as well. So just to kind of give you all an idea of, what our team looks like, we're about 125 staff deep. We have a professional staff and student staff. Our 90 plus student staff, our resident assistants and head residents are be the ones that students will be mostly working with in the residence halls. And we have our assistant director and our associate director, as well as our area coordinators. We have 5 area coordinators who are all master's level professionals who live within our residential areas on campus. And we'll work very closely with our RAs and head residents and work closely with you all for developing community and adjusting to campus and any other needs and support that you may need connecting to the campus and other things, both inside and outside of the residence life and housing experience. Our mission for the office is, focused on fostering community, celebrating the individual students through the encouragement of personal growth. And we work to develop the embracing inclusion, encouraging responsible leadership, and promoting that intellectual community. Our 4 core values are community, connections, inclusivity, and support. We build a lot of our programming around that and send a lot of things to our students so that they can understand the importance of each of those 4 values and how it works within our residential community on our campus to get connected. And we hold strong to our vision. We strive to be progressive leaders in our field. We want to support the co-curricular development of all our residential students while creating that sense of belonging in the Spider community. We work very hard to be progressive leaders within residence life and housing as we work to, stay ahead of the curve with our colleagues around the state, but also our peer and aspirant schools and what we're able to offer for our students on campus and their residential experience. Because to have the Richmond experience, you really need to have the residential experience of living on campus. As 99% of our first year students all live on campus, and between 93 and 94% of our students live on campus all 4 years during their time at Richmond. We have several first year residence halls. They are all co-ed buildings that are broken down by floor, section, or pod. So each of our floors, sections, or pods are single gender, but each of our buildings as an overall are co-ed buildings. So you could be on a first floor of a building or one pod of a floor and it's one gender, and then another section of the building could be an opposite gender. And we'll get into some of the details of what those buildings look like here soon. You've all received your room assignments at this point, and Taylor's going to go into more information about that. But our first year halls consist of Dennis, Laura Robbins, Marsh Hall, Moore Hall, Wood, and Robbins. We did have to expand our first year housing into Wood Hall this year due to the large first year class. So we expanded our first year housing into Wood, and Wood Hall is exclusively for first year students. This summer, actually, we are completing the renovation project of Robbins Hall, which is our phase 2 of that project. And you'll be able to see some of those highlights on our website, as well as the virtual tours that I'll share in the chat here soon, if you haven't already had a chance to see those. And we also are completing a full upgrade and renovation project in Wood Hall this summer. So it's a very tight project in a very small window for us to be able to get that building renovated, which would have been for returning students to live in. But with the first year class, the first year students will get to enjoy the new renovations to the building, which include upgrades throughout the entire building, bathrooms, our new fresh air system, HVAC system, windows, flooring, lounges, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to turn things over to Taylor for her to cover some other important information. And then in the chat, I'm going to post the tours of each of our buildings that you are able to see.
So I'm going to go over some general building information, just so you guys have a little bit clearer picture of what all of our residence halls look like. All of our residence halls are air conditioned with individual coil fan units and a fresh air system in each building. There's laundry in each building or in each community, and it is free, so students don't have to worry about loading money on their card for laundry or bringing quarters with them to campus. There are vending machines that are provided, and they accept cash, Apple Pay, Google Pay, or their Spider card. There are study spaces and lounges scattered throughout the buildings for group or individuals to use, and they can be used for study areas or programming or just hangout areas for students as well. Small refrigerators and microwaves are permitted in the rooms, but please be sure to check our website for things to bring as well as prohibited items. And only service and assistant animals are allowed and must be approved prior to students coming to campus, and that approval goes through disability services. Each of our first year residence halls look fairly similar to one another. And in each room, there is a bed, mattress, desk, chair, and dresser per resident. So there's one for each for you and your roommate. If you want the dimensions and measurements, please visit our website and go to furniture and facilities, and then click on the FAQ for what furniture is in your specific room. And also in that virtual tour, there's like a measurement tool that you can use to measure the furniture as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about the bathrooms in each of our residence halls. So all of our first year bathrooms are community style shared bathrooms. And depending on the floor or building, there are 2 to 5 shower stalls and 2 to 4 bathroom stalls in each of those community bathrooms. The bathrooms are easily shareable since each student has a different daily schedule, and so there isn't a whole lot of overlap with students. They can usually find time to take a shower or use the restroom. Just so you all know, we do coordinate with an outside vendor called Dorms Direct, and students can rent refrigerators, futons, TVs, safes, and loft kits from Dorms Direct, and their staff will come into the student room and set up the equipment and make sure that everything is safe and ready to go. Each of our first year residence halls and our returning student residence halls feature or have RAs in all of the, in each floor or area. And those RAs help to build connections with the students on their floor and serve as a mentor and guide for their first year. RAs offer events and programs that allow students to come together and learn more about one another. And through these events and programs, we explore the 4 themes that Patrick talked a little bit about, and that's community development, academic development, personal wealth and growness, or personal wellness and growth and inclusivity. And those align back to, again, those departmental values that Patrick was talking about. I always encourage students to get involved, and starting with the students on your floor is a great place to start being involved with one another. The college experience is more than going to class and going to your room. Be open to explore new things and be part of new groups and getting out of your comfort zone. And a lot of that starts with connecting with your roommate. Assignments were sent out earlier this month, so please be sure to touch base with your roommate if you haven't done so already, and get to know them a little bit before you come to campus, and then you guys can plan and get organized for the items that you each want to bring and share.
Thanks, Taylor. Before I go on to the next section, I forgot to mention this in the opening, but in the bottom corner, you'll notice the Q&A feature. So if you need to, we notice a couple questions are in there, and we'll get to that after we get to this next section. But if you have questions that you want answered, please feel free to insert those into the Q&A function, and you're able to thumbs up if you have you want that same question answered. So as I mentioned earlier, you've already received all of your housing assignments and roommate assignments and pairings. So if you have any additional questions about that, feel free to reach out to us separately via email. You can find our emails on our website. I want to move now to some of the move-in information, because that's going to be upon us very quickly, with all of our first year students either moving in on Sunday the 15th or Wednesday the 18th, depending on what program you are in. So information was shared in a letter from Dr. Recessi and myself in June, and I will share that letter also in the chat here momentarily, as we separate into the Q&A part of this, because we want to be able to give you all a chance to ask us questions so we can provide as many answers as possible in this 45-minute session. But our move-in for students participating in our transition program, which is the Roadmap or Endeavor program, our multicultural pre-orientation, our international orientation, or ROTC, will be on Sunday, August 15th. The time is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that is going to be on the first floor of the Tyler Haynes Commons. The move-in for our first-year students and transfer students, all of our entering new students that are not participating in our transition programs, is going to take place on Wednesday, August 18th, again between 9 and 4 on the first floor of the Tyler Haynes Commons. So you'll notice the first stop for any move-in day is the Tyler Haynes Commons, because that is going to be basically our one-stop shop for our students to come. We're going to have a resource fair there, tables for information, but then the students will go through the check-in process by themselves, but they will check in with one of our student staffs. We will ensure that they, at their appropriate time for check-in, they'll be given their Spider card, their one card, ensure that they've set their PIN. They'll also receive their mail key, and they'll continue through the check-in process, and it goes very smoothly. You'll just need to bring, don't forget to bring an official ID, so a driver's license or a passport. A pictured ID that has some identifying information can also be accepted, but our preference is a driver's license or a passport. If you have any other identification other than that, you may be asked some additional questions just so we can verify who you are. Additional information about all the arrival, check-in, and move-in processes, including our parking and other details, can be found on our homepage. So if you just go to residencelife.richmond.edu on our homepage, if you scroll to the bottom, there's an announcement that breaks down all of the move-in information for our new and entering first-year and transfer students. Just as a reminder, if you haven't registered already, you need to go into the StarRes portal and register for a move-in time slot, and it has to be on your designated day, either the 15th or the 18th. If you haven't done so, please do this as soon as possible. That does close on August 12th at noon, and it is very difficult for us to add people after the fact. So it's important for you to go ahead and lock in your time and your registered time for when you're able to come for check-in. You can only come during that 30-minute window to the Commons, because we are trying to continue to space students out for that move-in process during the day, both in the Commons for volume in the Commons, but also in the residence halls, because we're not restricting students from bringing, family members, helpers, things of that nature to come. So you have to come to the Commons first in order to get your card activated, and then you'll exit the Commons after going to the resource fair, getting a bunch of additional information to return to your residence hall to move in the process for the remainder of the day before your orientation schedule begins either on that Sunday evening or that Wednesday evening. Again, it's a 30-minute time slot, and for any students that has not submitted their vaccination information by August 1st, so you still have time to submit that information, so please submit your vaccination information in the Student Health Portal if you have not done so, because any student who has not submitted that information by August 1st will have to go through arrival testing, even if they are able to provide vaccination information after August 1st or in person, because that is our cutoff date for when we are going to be requiring students to go through arrival testing. And again, just to reiterate, I know I've said it, but you may only arrive during your designated registered arrival time slot. Students that will arrive early will be asked to wait and come back later. So please plan your day accordingly with your travels and arrivals, so that you're there at the beginning of your time slot and that you'll be in and out. And we have only a set number of students who are able to come to that 30-minute period, and we will be able to get through all those students in that time frame, and you'll have plenty of time to get settled and moved into your room. Okay. So at this time, I am going to insert into the chat the move-in letter. Just as a reminder, this is a letter that was sent by Dr. Bessesi and myself earlier in June. So if you have not seen it, here is a copy of it. It is located on our website at richmond.edu. We see all the messaging from the university that is being sent out, and I want to put it in the chat for you all. All right. So that concludes our portion. We did actually very well. We wanted to stay within the first 15 minutes to be able to get to your questions. And I will take the lead on the questions. And Taylor, I'll bounce some to you if I think it might be better for you to respond to them. Okay. One question that's gotten the upvote: are there bins or carts to help us move in? We do not provide those, like the carts that you may see, the big bins at some schools, but you will be able to check out dollies from our facilities tents on the 15th or the 18th. We have pull carts and dollies that you can check out to be able to use and to return those. But we do not have the carts on our campus. Not all of our buildings have elevators, so please plan accordingly when you're carrying like things to and from the parking lot and the residence hall. So it's always good to partner up with somebody for things, because only Laura Robbins Court has an elevator in the residence halls. The next question is, we're hearing that there's a beam or a bump out in Laura Robbins Court. Does it make it to where you cannot attach a headboard from, I think Dormify means Dorm Direct. So the Dorms Direct headboards, they will attach them for you. So when you come to campus and if you've rented or purchased one of those headboards, they will meet you and they will install those for you. So they're able to take care of that. The beam or the bump that you may have seen or heard in a chat, maybe in a Facebook group or another group online, when we have inserted the new fresh air systems into each of our residence halls, in some of the rooms there is about I'd say an 8x8 drywall section in the corner where the tube runs through, and that's what connects all the fresh air systems throughout the buildings. But it doesn't make it difficult for any of the beds to be located or for the headboards to be attached. Laundry in each of our buildings is typically located on the ground floor, particularly in all of our first year buildings. It actually is on the ground floor of each of our residence halls. In some of our returning student residence halls, just depending on the makeup of the building, when you become a sophomore, junior, or senior, you may see them on the second or third floors, depending on how the building was laid out. Taylor, one of the questions is, which side is the A and B? I think that refers to the A assignment and the B assignment in the room. Do you want to explain how that is when it comes to the assignments?
Yes, so the assignment, the A and B refers to simply that there's multiple bed spaces in that room. So if you're in a double room, you could get, your assignment would be like Laura Robbins Court C211B, and that B just simply, that's the way that our system designates those bed spaces. So it doesn't necessarily refer to a specific side in the residence hall. So that's how our computer system designates those bed spaces.
When you arrive in the room, you will see the room preset, which has been done by our facilities and services staff. And the bedrooms are set in a way that we just set them every year, but the students are able to rearrange the furniture as they need to. They just need to be in compliance with our fire safety policies when it comes to furniture that's being rearranged, and whether or not you're using lofts or adding a chair or a futon or a sofa. Can first years bring cars? Yes, there's no restriction this year on first years bringing cars to campus. Just make sure you register with our parking services. And I know that the parking lots may not be in like prime locations adjacent to first year residence halls, but you are able to bring cars as a first year. Can I find the dimensions of the closet or the bathrooms in our room, Robbins Hall, with a half bathroom? Actually, the dimensions of there are a few rooms that have half bathrooms in Robbins Hall. Those are not. So if you want to email either myself or Taylor after this, we can work with you to get that information. That is not something that is posted on our website, and is not something that is a part of the tour. It's only in a handful of rooms. It's not one of the normal room spaces. All right. Can you please confirm that the lofting kits from Dorm Direct are allowed at U of R? There are kits that will raise the beds between 4 to 6 feet high. We've heard that these kits are not from Martin. Actually, any of the loft kits from Dorms Direct, because we have a partnership with them and they are one of our approved vendors, are all allowed. They will actually be on site on both the 15th and the 18th to assist with installation for anybody who wants to rent them on those days. You are able to get in touch with Dorms Direct in advance. Brian, who's their owner and manager, you can reach out to him in advance, Brian Davis, and they actually come to campus prior to students' arrival to put those lofts in the rooms, but they're also there on move-in day to help with rearrangements and things of that nature. So yes, those are fully permitted, and those are actually the only lofts that we permit on campus because they've been approved as a vendor, and we've worked with them through our safety and risk management office. Someone has a request due to international travel. You see the move-in time of the day will arrive on campus. So if you, so you've been approved for early arrival because of international. No, you do not need to sign up. I just was not understanding your question. So if you've been a student who has been approved for international travel due to travel concerns as an early arrival, no, you do not need to sign up in StarRez. You've probably already received an email from me confirming that. But if you have not, please feel free to email me afterwards, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Are battery-powered fairy lights allowed? I'm not sure what those are. Sorry, I'm not up to date on what those might be, but I think you may be talking about what are typically used as like holiday lights and string lights. Lights are permitted as long as they are in compliance with our fire safety policy. So please read through the fire safety policy. Students will use what are known as like kind of the traditional string lights and connect those, but they have to be flush to the wall and can't be hung diagonally between. So make sure you read through the fire safety policy on those. I know there are some new lights that have become very popular with our students that can be connected and to music and play different, have different colors and things of that nature that have a sticky backing to them that are causing some damage to our walls. And so if those are permitted, but you need to make sure that you attach them to the wall correctly so they do not cause damage to the wall, because you will be billed for any damage if they are removed and it does have to be repainted. Next question coming in from Michelle. Do I need to bring a surge protector? It's recommended. You don't need to bring them. Each one of the rooms has, outlets, and you typically on each wall. Sometimes students like to have additional outlets, so a surge protector is always recommended. Again, the specifics for our surge protector are outlined in our fire safety policy. So just ensure that you've read through that, you know what you're bringing as far as things of that nature. Command strips, yes, absolutely. That is the number one thing that our facility staff recommends. At the end of the year, we recommend that you leave them on the wall because our painters prefer to take them down themselves so as not to cause any damage to them, so that the walls don't have to be repainted. Our extension cords allowed, yes, as long as they are in compliance with our fire safety policy. So make sure you read through that policy on what certain types of cords are allowed and how they're allowed to be connected. They're not allowed to be connected one to another, things of that nature, because there has to be concern for that load. Okay. Oh, looks like we've actually, is everything Wi-Fi or the network jacks walls? Good question, Remy. Actually, there are still network jacks in each of our residence hall rooms, but the entire building is connected to Irwin, which is our Wi-Fi. And actually, this goes back 4 years now. We have placed Wi-Fi routers not only in the hallways, but in each of the individual rooms to increase the strength of our Wi-Fi in all of our residence hall rooms on campus. Is laundry detergent provided? No. So students need to bring their own detergent to campus. All right, we'll give a minute for any other questions. We just want to make sure we give you all adequate time to ask your questions. All right. Another one coming in. So Lucy, you were fortunate to get one of the rooms with the bay windows. That's amazing. So yes, there are shades on each of the windows. They're pull down shades. Um, some students do bring curtains. They wait to get to the room to look at it for dimensions. Some people use mainly just the extension rods to kind of the flex ones that go in between versus attaching anything to the walls with a curtain. So those are some things that students do attach. Yes, all the windows open in all of our residence halls, including Laura Robbins. There are safety barriers on them, so they only open to a certain um, amount. The link for what you're able to bring or not able to bring, if you go to residencelife.richmond.edu and look under our policies and services tab, you'll see buttons on the left-hand side of the column that say things to bring, things not to bring. No, in Laura Robbins, not all rooms have that bump out in the corner, what someone asked for earlier. It's only in a few rooms, and it's in a few rooms in every single building. And if any of those I mentioned earlier, you missed the question. We installed our fresh air systems. We had to add new tubing for ventilation into our buildings, and so sometimes those tubes ran through closets, and if they did run into the closets, we did provide an extra armoire in those rooms for additional closet space because those tubes took up a little bit of the closet space in there. The best tip for a smooth move-in, great question. I would say, come prepared, have all of your stuff packaged, talk to your roommates in advance on things to bring so that you can coordinate so you're not both bringing the same amount of stuff into the room. Adhere to the parking guidelines. There are drop-off zones and unloading zones near each of the residence halls. So look on our website so you can see where those unloading zones are. We will have our URPD staff will be helping with directing traffic, but we're also going to have some RMC staff helping with assisting people and directing people for parking. So if you want to use one of the unloading zones to drop off your stuff closer to a residence hall, so that your walk is shorter, I would recommend that. But just having things as triaged as possible so that when you get through the check-in phase, which is a very quick process of coming through the commons and getting the information that you need, and then you're able to go directly to your residence hall room to get settled. Some students do take the entire day to unpack everything and get things settled. It's completely up to you, but you can get the majority of things unpacked and then save some things for later so that each of the students can kind of make the room themselves in their own unique space after their families leave as well. Is there a pop-up store for dorm items? So if you go to our bookstore, you're able to see some things, but no, we do not have a separate pop-up store on campus for any of those type items. I would say if you have any concerns about these bump outs, if you're getting with Dorms Direct, just please have, if you've registered with them for a loft, just have Brian get in touch with me and we can coordinate. I talk with Brian a lot as things get closer to move-in. I've not heard this concern from them, so this is a new one for me. So if you are getting a loft and you have a question about that, Brian can get in touch with me and I can work with him directly. All right. The command strips, you got that. And is there a limited amount of time in which the adults can stay to help with movement? No, there is not. We just ask that you be, you coordinate with roommates and, just be respectful of time and space in the rooms. We're not limiting the number of people, but please, we ask that you just coordinate with your roommates because some students may only bring one or two individuals, while we know some students when they bring multiple individuals, including siblings and grandparents. So just being respectful of space, time, and the number of people that are in the room assisting with any type of move-in. Okay. All right, well, we will conclude our Q&A portion for now. We are a little ahead of schedule, so you get some time back if you're coming on to the next webinar, which starts at 7 o'clock. But if you all have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to Taylor Walsh or myself. Our information is on the website, and you can email us any questions that you might have, or you can call our office, at, which is also listed on our website. And Jocelyn Hermosia, who's our administrative coordinator, can direct you to anybody who may be able to assist with other questions. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to welcoming you to campus in just a few weeks.